Sending out my last load of bees this morning. Should be a good morning, a little bit overcast, a little bit, drizzly. Great morning to move bees. Everybody's back at home. So I've oversold my stock a little bit. I'll take the pressure off my box inventory a little bit this summer. And I did the same with the queen cells this year too. We made cells, but we've sold practically every single one of them so far. We've actually sold ourselves short, which isn't a bad thing. Just, got to keep some for ourselves too. I was out delivering hives today, and the crew was out doing some work. I didn't think I'd have enough material to make a blog today, but they sent me pictures middle of the morning of one of the trees in the yard falling precisely on top of one of my pallets. So I'm not sure how long this has been like this, but it's been at least 2 days, 3 days, so they had a nice little rain on them also. It's kind of my fault because it's an old dead tree. Been meaning to come over and push it over the other way. Poor bees, looks like they're still alive. It just smashed the seconds on top. And that nectar is still fresh. So this actually hasn't been very long. Otherwise I would have been robbed out. So that must have just happened like recently. At any rate, I guess it doesn't really matter when it happened. It happened, so we're gonna have to clean this up. I got the chainsaw, I have Carrie, and we are going to clean this mess up. Chipping away on our work, taking some more nukes out of these colonies. They are looking fantastic. We must have gone through another hatch because the hives are changing from week to week here. We're pulling these nukes. We're only pulling like a brood frame nuke out of these colonies, but the way I have things staged, we're kind of getting a little bit behind in our work now, and she's laying 2 or 3 frames of brood up top, so she's kind of moving her nest up, which isn't making it as convenient for us to work through to skim off these nukes. So we gotta hurry up a little bit. The queen waits for nobody. But at any rate, we're taking 1.5 frames out of the top box, and that leaves, it leaves at least 4, we're looking at sometimes 5 frames of brood in these colonies. So we had set them up with 4 brood frames up here. She come up and laid, and she's laying all those out. So we're only pulling about a brood a half frame per colony, and then we're leaving the rest to make sure that we don't overstrip these colonies down. One thing about having the bees so stagnant for such a long time in the spring, and all of a sudden they grow just like that. They kind of grow exponentially, and because of that we have a hard time keeping up to the growth rate. So we're having a little bit of trouble with our timing. But at the same time, these colonies get that spirit of optimism, and they simply will go and swarm very easily if we don't watch it. So what we want to do is these bigger ones, we maybe take them down just a little bit more than we typically would. We're taking the brood, we're shaking some bees in there too, just to make a nice healthy little nuke, but just to take the edge off that swarming. So when they do recover from the shock of us working through them, resume their work, they're like, we're just going to continue on operations here and make things work out within this nest. I'm also going through the smaller hives that we haven't doubled up yet, and they are counting 8 to 10 frames now. So they definitely will be getting another box. So practically everything in the operation now will be in seconds by the time we're done this round. We're running out of these little nukes. Not sure where all the boxes went, but now they're full of bees, and we're filling absolutely everything in the junk pile back behind the honey house with we're just slapping out nukes and just trying to find places to put all these bees. And that is no complaint. That is just a fresh breath of optimism. That's like, I don't actually if I could have heard myself say that 3 or 4 weeks ago, things would have been a little more easy. But look at these colonies. These are my small ones. And they are ready to grow up into the second box. These are my bigger ones. And they are building into the second box. So that's basically where I want them. I want them just nicely moving up into that second. I want that queen to have filled out that bottom, and I want them to start moving upwards. I don't want that top box plugged out yet. That's these hives that we're skimming down. We're just trying to take them down a little bit because they've filled out that top box practically already. That's a little bit too soon. We don't want them to peak quite yet. We want to push them back just a little bit because this crop is a little bit later, and we want to time things to the flow. So as we just allow these colonies to progress, we'll just keep on skimming just a little bit of surplus strength from them and make up a bunch of nukes. These are the last of the 5s. Nice healthy little nests. And then we're going to start filling a whole bunch of single boxes. These hives were just set down here. This is robbing activity. These nests have to kind of settle in before they start defending themselves. And the pressure of bees is just a little bit too great here. I have a very hungry yard over there. So I don't think I'm going to be setting any more hives to be set up in this yard. Just the robbing pressure is just a little bit too great. Night will fall, these hives will settle into their nests. Don't have plugs in these guys, that doesn't help things either. And they'll settle into their home, and then they'll start defending themselves. Defend or die, I guess. So tomorrow morning things will be a little bit better. These are just freshly placed out. But we are at the end of that magical time where we can get into these hives, work with them, split them off. You know, we can kind of press our boundaries a little bit where we're stripping resource from these colonies and not have to worry about situations that fall like this. So when robbing starts to occur, then you start to have to follow different rules. It's not as easy to split apart hives. Pretty much ends the splitting season. Which is fine because we are 2 days away from being done anyways. We got to get some feed out.